the Relationship Roundtable.
Because relationships matter.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jessica, and today we're going to talk about why it makes sense for men to lead the relationship. First of all, let's address the elephant in the room. I understand that some of you might feel like the concept of a man always leading in what is typically defined as a heterosexual relationship is very sexist, misogynistic, and based on a patriarchal notion of relationships. So please, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that men should take the lead and pace the relationship when it comes to a new and budding relationship between a heterosexual couple, because I think that men are superior in some way or capacity compared to women. That would be sexist. The sexual organs that you were born with doesn't make you more or less valuable. That's ridiculous. Just different. Males and females are two polar opposites, but equals who come together to form a whole, yin and yang. They move together in equality, where you need both sides to make it a complete whole. So then, why am I suggesting that a man should lead the relationship and not a woman? Especially when it comes to the emotional aspect of a new relationship. Research suggests that on average, men tend to mature at a slower pace than women, with studies indicating that men may reach full emotional maturity later in life, often around 11 years later than women due to differences in brain development and societal expectations around gender roles. And then we have some important considerations to take into account as well, such as individual variations. Not all men mature at a slower pace than women, and many factors like upbringing, personal experiences, and individual personality traits significantly influence maturity levels. And finally, how we define maturity is that maturity is a complex concept that goes beyond just age, encompassing aspects like emotional regulation, responsibility, decision-making, and interpersonal skills. So whatever the reasoning may be, the results are that according to research, men mature at around age 43, whereas women mature around age 32. That is a gap of 11 years in emotional maturity levels for the two sexes. And if we look around at couples around us, most of us aren't dating with an 11-year age gap. So that difference is why it makes sense for men to lead in the relationship. Women are able to feel and think simultaneously in the relationship, and men are more logical thinkers. Both the sexes have their own natural strengths and weaknesses. If we take an average of 100 men and women, men tend to be physically stronger, whereas we women are better at processing our emotions. Men tend to fall in love like ocean waves. A typical man's process of processing his emotion is a lot slower than that of a woman's. Men enjoy the moment when they are spending time with their partner and then back off and do their own thing. Then in a day or two, they remember the woman and then come back to spend more time with her. So they move forward and backward like ocean waves. Women fall in love when they're spending time with their partner because they are able to process their emotions simultaneously. And men are the opposite. They fall in love in the absence of their partners. So ladies, many of you might have experienced this. Let's say you and your boyfriend go on a trip for 4 or 5 days. You have an amazing time together. You feel like everything went great. Then you get back and he goes into his place and then you go to your place and he is suddenly nowhere to be seen, missing in action. You feel him pull back emotionally and you're utterly confused, but I thought we had a great time. Just know that he's doing his own thing and processing his own emotions in slow motion about the trip somewhere in the back of his head as he's focusing on other projects. But here is my question to you. When he does move forward towards you again, how does he show up? That is what you should be gauging. Men also don't have a biological clock, so they take much longer to process the relationship and take their own sweet time to think about where it's headed. Females are typically much faster at processing their emotions when compared to their male counterparts. because they are highly intuitive, more emotionally mature compared to men at the same age, and they're driven by a natural biological clock. Even if you don't want to have children, these factors still come into play if you want a committed relationship or if the female has a deep desire to ultimately get married. Ladies, you need to give a man space to think and to feel. Men fall in love like ocean waves. You need to give him time to deliberately make the decision to move forward towards you. Let him plan and think about what you would like and what would make you feel special. Men, they fall in love when they're planning and doing things for you. Just give him the space to do that. And when he does, let him know how much you appreciate it. Thank him sincerely. Show him your appreciation. Because for a man, they only plan and make a significant effort for a woman who they really want and care about. If he doesn't make an effort, then you know that he doesn't really care enough. Move on and don't waste your time on the wrong one. Nothing should feel forced in this dynamic. So ladies, let's flip the script and look at it from the other lens. What happens when you, as the woman, leads in a new relationship? Let's say you went on a first date and you know you want him. You've decided you like him after the very first date. You're so excited. So you make the plans for the second date and the third, and you send him the link to your favorite concert happening next week, and you choose the most romantic dinner spots and make reservations. Whether he pays or not really doesn't matter. But you make all the plans and he's just coasting along. You, my dear lady, are having the most beautiful dates planned by yourself, and this is everything that you ever wanted. Why wouldn't it be? You planned the perfect date for yourself. You know what you want. Tell me, what is the problem with this picture? The problem is that men are very slow in processing their emotions. He hadn't even decided if he wants to pursue this relationship or not with you, and you're not allowing him the space to think about it. He's made minimal efforts to plan these perfect dates for you. You're doing all of his homework for him. When you take over the process of planning dates for him, you are also taking away moments for him to really sit and think about how he feels about you. He should be the one asking you if you would like to meet his best friend because he wants to move the relationship forward. Not you asking, when will you introduce me to people in your life? Let him think about it and mindfully lead the relationship. Another disadvantage of you leading is that you're too focused on him. And so you're not really taking the time to assess for compatibility. You're not taking the time to see if his lifestyle aligns with yours. One of the things that I do is I always let men plan dates in the initial dating phase because where they take me and their idea of fun really gives me a better idea of whether we're compatible or not. I love a good donut, but if he's taking me to Krispy Kreme donuts and a walk in the park for a second date, we probably aren't a good fit for each other. How he plans his dates is a very good indicator of his values. Take the time to assess them. Don't build castles in the air of everything that is possible. Instead, be grounded and observe the reality of how he's actually showing up for you and planning for you. That is how you start assessing for value alignment. Men tend to not think through the details of the relationship in the same way that women do. Men go with the flow and they take the time to see where the relationship goes. The only way you know that a man cares is by his actions and the way in which he plans to spend his time with you. It can be incredibly frustrating for a woman to watch an undecided man in the relationship course when you clearly see how good this relationship is. Like what the both of you have is something special. How do you not feel it? Take a deep breath, ladies. Whenever I bring this argument up with women of why it makes sense for men to lead the relationship, they feel like it's not really fair. Why should I wait around if he can't comprehend that what we have is as good as he gets? If I can see it, he should be able to see it too. Well, my answer to you is you can either deal with men or you can choose to become a lesbian. those are your two options. If you become a lesbian or even find a guy who is more inclined towards the feminine spectrum, you won't need to deal with all of this. Trust me, I've considered it. Unfortunately, I have accepted that I am very straight. There are women who fall into the more masculine spectrum themselves, and they are naturally attracted to men who are on the more feminine spectrum. Because again, opposites attract. And it's the attraction of the two polarities, the yin and the yang. And for the women out there who are attracted to more masculine men like me, I have a question for you. Let's say your 20-year-old nephew or younger brother came up to you and said, listen, sis, need some advice. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2 years. I really love her. She's the one. But I really want to have sex. I want to know what that's like. And she says she's not ready. What do we do? You would likely tell your nephew or younger brother that he should wait. If he truly loves her, then he will wait for her to be ready to have a physical relationship, right? Because that is the right thing to do. An emotional relationship works in the same way. Between two people, the relationship should always progress and move forward at the pace of the slower person, because that is the right thing to do. You cannot rush or push anyone into anything that they're not ready for. This is why when you allow him to pace the relationship and allow him to lead it, you're going to pace the relationship at the rate of the slower party. This prevents women from getting in over their heads and thinking that the relationship is more serious than it really is. It also allows you to be able to spot red flags and any potential relationship that could be harmful for you in the long run very early on. Remember, ladies, just because he is leading doesn't mean you have no say. You can decide that he is not worthy of you and move on at any point in time. You hold the power there. In my other video, I've broken down a man's process of falling in love into 7 different stages. I'll link that video below in the description box. But as a woman, your best strategy is to sit back and watch his actions as you see him going through each of these 7 stages, progressing from one stage to another in the process of falling in love with you. And you can decide whether you want to stay or back off at any time. If you sit there planning the perfect dates, you're taking out all the thinking and planning from his plate. He'll just show up and will likely even pay for it. You have the perfect date and you build beautiful memories with this man. You are in the illusion that he is the one. He's perfect. As a woman, this is how we fall in love. And then 2 years in, you sit down and you wonder, what happened? Why doesn't he care anymore? But the truth is, he never did. You were doing all the planning for him. Or he'll take his time and process that you're not the one, and you feel so used at that point and you feel like you wasted your time. The simple solution to not invest too much time in the wrong person or the wrong relationship is to let him take the lead and you sit back and observe his actions. You decide if you want to keep him or move on based on his character, his efforts, and his actions. What this also does is it takes out the anxiety of wondering where the relationship is headed on your end, and you'll also feel more secure with yourself as a woman. If a man is given the space to move the relationship forward at his pace, it also relaxes him and it gives him a sense of confidence to be sure about what he is doing. His true nature unfolds faster and allows you to be able to have the upper hand to understand him better. You then have the power to either reject this man or move forward with him. Not leading the relationship gives you better clarity, and it allows for you to be able to better analyze the relationship itself. Allow him the space and time to decide if he even wants to spend more time with you. And if he does, allow him the space to make an effort, to make plans. Men take longer to establish a pair bonding with their partners. You also cannot compare your new and budding relationship to an established pair bonded relationship of another couple. Or even worse, compare your new relationship to a previous relationship that you've had for years. Men who are in a new relationship operate very differently than men who have already pair bonded with a woman. So men take longer to pair bond, yes, but once they do, they're very giving and protective of their women. The more I've understood the nature of men, the more my respect for them grows and the more I've learned to appreciate their ways. Most men are just absolutely amazing. When you let a man lead the relationship, it's also very protective of you as a woman. If he doesn't make an effort to plan the next date, then just move on. If he's only planning dinner dates at his house and pushing for sex, and you can clearly see that sex is the main priority for him without giving any thought into what would make you happy and what would make you feel special, definitely move on. If a man wants you, you will know. He will block off all other potential mates in your life. Men are very competitive by nature. He won't want to lose you to another man until he decides whether this is for the long term or not. This is why women are better off multi-dating in the initial phase of the relationship specifically. But more about that in another video because I think this one's already getting too long. Until then, take care. And if you have a story you'd like to share on the channel, please email me at jessica@therelationshiproundtable.com. I'll leave the email address in the description box below. You can either join me at the table anonymously or you can join me as yourself, whatever it is that you'd like. See you again soon and bye.